The Gospel of Matthew, chapter 13. Looking at the parables of the kingdom of heaven, sort of teaching our way through them as the kingdom of heaven in its mystery form. We have spent many, many months looking at the difference between the kingdom of heaven and the kingdom of God. One is spiritual, one is physical. And in Matthew chapter 13, the kingdom of heaven goes into a mystery form. And so while we look at these parables that Jesus gave, and he's talking to a diverse group of people, but mainly he's giving insight to his disciples about a coming time. That coming time would be what we refer to as the time of the church. And so during the time of the church, the kingdom of heaven goes into what we would call a mystery form. The church does not replace the kingdom of heaven, but we as believers, when we put our faith and trust in Jesus Christ, the church and believers make up the kingdom of God. It is spiritual. It is not outwardly observed, it is inwardly observed. Jesus talked about it. The Apostle Paul talked about it. It is not observed with meat and drink. We're talking about the kingdom of God. So it is an inward kingdom, albeit it is a kingdom. And it is part of the big kingdom. And we've talked about all the kind of the body of the three kingdoms and the three circles. And I don't want to get into all of that again concerning the kingdom of heaven and the kingdom of God. And so a lot of stuff contained in that we've looked at in weeks past. And so, but there are parables here that Jesus would lay out for his disciples that they'll have some meaning to the age or the day, or if you want to call it the dispensation in which you and I live. They will have some meaning to us, but they are not representative of the church or the gospel, albeit they may have some facet of that in there. And you know that if you've been here over the last couple of weeks, in application to the church, and there is an application to the church, but we're also talking about the kingdom of heaven. So you have groups of people represented here that are making up the kingdom of heaven. All right? And so these parables are not the church, but you'll see the church in them, okay? These 7 parables cover the last 2,000 years. That's what they do. They are divided into 2 groups in Matthew chapter number 13. Okay, they're divided into 2 groups. There are 12 parables in all, but in Matthew 13, you will find 7 of them. The first 4, Satan is active, you'll see that. And then you won't see him as active in the second group of parables, okay? And so, and many of you have been here, so you understand all that. All right, tonight we are in verse number 24. We read these verses last week, and we talked about them. Verse number 24, another parable put he forth unto them, saying, the kingdom of heaven is likened unto a man which sowed good seed in his field. While men slept, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat and went his way. But when the blade was sprung up and brought forth fruit, then appeared the tares also. So the servants of the householder came and said unto him, Sir, didst not thou sow good seed in thy field? From whence then hath it tares? He said unto them, An enemy hath done this. The servants said unto him, Wilt thou then that we go and gather them up? But he said, Nay, lest while ye gather up the tares, ye root up also the wheat with them. Let both grow together until the harvest. And in the time of the harvest I will say to the reapers, Gather ye together first the tares, and bind them in bundles to burn them, but gather the wheat into my barn. He's going to explain this parable, in verse number 37. So let's go to verse number 37, and we answered a lot of questions here, but there's a few things here that I want you to note that we did not get to. He answered, verse number 37, same chapter, he answered and said unto them, He that sowed the good seeds, the Son of Man. Who's the Son of Man? Jesus. All right, it's Jesus Christ. So you match that verse with verse number 24 when he said, the kingdom of heaven is likened unto a man. Who is a man? Very good. It's Christ. It's the Son of Man. Did you get that? You put those two verses together. That's what he's explaining the parable here. Okay, good. So we're going to let Jesus explain his own parable. All right. And so further on in the verses, the Bible would say, the field is the what? The world. Okay, and so you go back over to these verses and you say that a man which sowed good seed in his field. So Jesus Christ is the man. He's the Son of Man. He sowed seed in the field. The field is the world. All right, going back, verse number 38. And the good seed are the children. Now keep this in mind, are the children of the kingdom. Did you get that? But the tares are the children of the wicked one. Who's the wicked one? That's Satan. That's the devil. All right. The enemy that sowed them is the devil. The harvest is the end of the world, and the reapers are the angels. As therefore the tares are gathered and burned in the fire, so shall it be in the end of this world. The Son of Man shall send forth his angels, and they shall gather out of his kingdom. Whose kingdom? Christ's kingdom. What kingdom is that? What kingdom is that? The kingdom of God or the kingdom of heaven? Kingdom of heaven. He's going to gather out of his kingdom, the kingdom of heaven. Okay? There would be, get this, look, I'm not, some of you said the kingdom of God. That's all right. Look, but the reason why you know it's not the kingdom of God is because there are no tares in the kingdom of God. The kingdom of God's a spiritual kingdom. You can't get in if you're a tare. But you can get in the kingdom of heaven if you're a tare. So do you see how when we've looked at these, and I feel like I'm confused, and maybe I'm more confused tonight. I don't know, my brain is sleepy tonight, so you just bear with me, but that the kingdom of heaven is made up of non-believers and believers. All right? And so, but the kingdom of God is only made up of believers. It's a spiritual kingdom. You don't get into spiritual kingdom if you're not spiritual. In other words, you have to have the Spirit to get into the kingdom of God. But you don't have to have the Spirit to be in the kingdom of heaven. But if you have the Spirit, you're in the kingdom of heaven and in the kingdom of God. Wow, that just confused all of you, didn't it? Don't be confused by that. It's not that complicated. It's real easy to understand.
How would you define the kingdom of heaven?
The kingdom of heaven is in these verses.
Yes.
I'm going to do that. All right. So, well, go down to verse number 40. As therefore the tares are gathered and burned in the fire, so shall it be in the end of this world. The Son of Man shall send forth his angels, and they shall gather out of his kingdom. So there's the kingdom of heaven. There's the definition of kingdom of heaven. He's going to gather them out of whose kingdom? The Son of Man's kingdom. The Son of Man is Jesus Christ. Keep running over the same things, right? Repetition's the key to remembering. Am I right on that? I don't know. Repetition is the key to understanding, I guess, or something. But you keep going back in those thoughts. Just let it keep pointing back. His kingdom is the Son of Man's kingdom. The Son of Man's kingdom is the kingdom of heaven. It's the kingdom of Jesus Christ. It's not the church. It's not the church. Don't be confused by that. It's the kingdom of heaven. Christ died for the church. The church is its